I just dropped the first one.
Okay, awesome. So the first one we're looking at is Warner Brothers' The Wizard of Oz remake will feature LGBTQ representation as part of the story that reflects the world. Isn't that awesome? Isn't that exactly what we've all wanted? We've all wanted to see The Wizard of Oz recast as an LGBTQ anthem, I suppose.
No.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. So this one is coming out of Bounding into Comics, and they're reporting that, and they had actually carried this.
What, is Toto going to be a French poodle now?
I had not considered that. Les bark, les bark. But the creator of the show Blackish, Kenya Barris, is writing and directing another reboot of the classic film Wizard of Oz, updating the cinematic classic for a modern audience, specifically those of the LGBT community, giving a whole new meaning to the phrase "somewhere over the rainbow." He said the original was an allegory and a reflection of the way the world was at the time, with things like the Great Depression and the Dust Bowl. Now we're going to turn a mirror on where we're at right now and take disparate characters from the LGBTQ community, from different cultural communities and socioeconomic communities, and tell a story that reflects the world.
Well, I won't be going to see that.
Yeah. See, I gotta say, he started out right. This was a commentary about things that were going on during the Great Depression and the Dust Bowl. But it was a message of hope to everyone. You know, that somewhere over the rainbow there was, a dream worth having and brighter days ahead. Because literally everyone in this country was suffering, And I feel like Hollywood's not getting the message that we're kind of in that same position now. After the past 3 years, things seem to be getting worse and worse, and people are needing a whole lot of what Hollywood brought us back in those days. A little bit of a positive message and something to look forward to. But instead, they're going to preach at us. Tell us what we ought to think. Tell us how bad we ought to feel, and that only certain people deserve to have hope.
And as Dee Pensek points out, we already had the Wiz. Enough is enough.
Yeah, and that was something else I was going to comment on, too. The fact that there have been many interpretations of The Wizard of Oz. The Wiz was good. It was basically a similar story in a modern dress setting. One could argue it was a more urbanized story, but it wasn't so urban that it wasn't still relatable to everybody. Yeah, that's just it. When you get this niche, it's no longer relatable. There's actually a reason that there have been so many versions of The Wizard of Oz, and yet the original is still the most popular and still resonates with audiences today. Hollywood just has not gotten the message that we don't want their woke, niche-y, backhanded, preachy bullshit. Oh, excuse me. This is supposed to be Geeky Geezers. I should lighten it up in the appropriate
that's true.
spirit.
It's bullshit.
It is bullshit.
And if I'm using that
word... And if Netter says that language, yeah,
Because y'all know me. I don't usually swear.
Yeah. So, according to... let's see, GLAAD, that's Gay and Lesbian Alliance Against Defamation, GLAAD's 2022 Annual Studio Responsibility Index, an annual report which grades the efforts of the top 8 major Hollywood studios in increasing the amount of LGBTQ representation in their productions. The industry set a record in 2021 with 12% of all characters appearing across broadcast, cable, and streaming television being depicted as members of the community. Let's think a little bit math, people. 21% of all people represented in media were of the gay community. That seems like more than representation. It really does, because I don't believe that the LGBTQ community makes up 12% of the US population. Maybe they do in Hollywood, I don't know. But that's if that's your only audience, and that brings us to our last point here on this. GLAAD president and CEO Sarah Kate Ellis also called for the major studios to include LGBTQ characters in 50% of their films by 2024.
Why?
That is some serious overrepresentation. Okay? I'll tell you what, when the gay community represents 50% of the population, then get back to me. But that's not the case, okay? Just saying. I have nothing against gay representation, because let's face it, there are gay people in this world, you know?
And
So
I have nothing against gay actors or actresses or whatever. But it's like, don't change a beloved film to make it fit your criteria because you want to jam something else down our throats.
well, that's actually an excellent point. I'll go even further. They're operating under the wrong premise, okay? These kinds of stories that resonate over time do so because they're universal stories, right? Yes, they spoke to something very specific at the time, but everyone could take something out of it. When you start being very specific, it only resonates with a small minority of people, and it won't last. What other ones can you think of that have lasted as long? You know, I mean, even the Wiz would be the second most popular, but that's not the first thing that comes to most people's minds when they think of the Wizard of Oz. The first thing they think of, is Ray Bolger and who played Dorothy? I'm drawing a blank.
Judy Garland.
Judy Garland, right, exactly. But yeah, I mean that kind of stuff is timeless. Bert Lars and so forth. But yeah, if you are going to, actually, you shouldn't be. I'm about to misspeak. I was going to say, if you're going to update something, you shouldn't be updating it. Okay, a classic is a classic. Leave it the heck alone. Okay, it is supposed to represent what it represents, and if you want to tell a story like it that addresses some modern thing, by all means, feel free to do that.
Do something completely different.
Yeah.
Maybe, addendum is the wrong word, but like a continuing story of this. It's like, what happened later or next or something.
Well, yeah, and my other thought is what I think we desperately need if we're going to do a reboot of Wizard of Oz. For crying out loud, go back to the original stories by Frank Baum and tell those stories as faithfully as possible. Yeah, maybe with a little flair because they're a little clunky, very, very childish. But there was a whole series of stories there. You could have a whole, shared universe, so to speak.
Time Prophet said, how about a Chinese Little Mermaid?
Well, I would say if the current one does well, maybe that's what they'll do with the sequel. I wouldn't see why not. Big Al says the Cowardly Lion will need courage to come out of the closet.
Oh,
yeah, no, exactly. It's funny because in my thumbnail, you may have missed it because the details were kind of small. I photo edited the courage medal that he wears to put a rainbow ribbon on it, and instead of courage, it says queerage. But Auditor Dredd says, do you
think this fad will stop?
They race swap, gender swap, sexual orientation. Well, here's the thing. Yeah, there's an end point. The end point is either the complete undermining of culture, which is their goal, or these companies go bankrupt. And we were talking last week about, somebody saying that Disney, for example, has a fiduciary responsibility to its shareholders, not the the minority that have their agendas, and that means lawsuits. And when your profits are down because no one is going to see this crap, and you're getting hit with lawsuits from your stakeholders, I don't want to hear anyone say that Disney is too big to fail. They absolutely can fail if that kind of avalanche falls on them. Not to mention what's going on with the parks, and their decision to stand against the state authorities on the whole parental rights law and so forth. But
and then you got stakeholders that are selling their stocks because, like us, we just couldn't take it anymore.
Yeah, I could not in good conscience remain a part of it. I actually sold, or asked Netter to sell for us after the whole Gina Carano thing, and I have not gone back. And no, I won't be getting. And I know we're talking about Warner Brothers. We're not talking about Disney. So I've kind of gone off on a little tangent, not to be confusing anyone, but I'm talking about the whole industry. All of this applies. The original Tin Man had to pull out Wizard of Oz because he got blood poisoning. Yes, yeah. That original Tin Man was Buddy Ebsen. Yes. That he, of course, Jed Clampett. And I've seen his camera test where he's dancing. He was a great dancer. That he would have been awesome. It wasn't just blood poisoning either. It was respiratory problem because the paint that they were using was a aluminum oxide spray that's highly toxic, and so yeah, they had to change to a different style of paint. But yeah, I mean, a lot of great stories behind the scenes of the original Wizard of Oz. Margaret Hamilton was very badly burned in the scene where she, she's in the Munchkin village and she, disappears in a big puff of smoke and fire. Well, the effect was done by her going down an elevator, through the ground, and with the smoke and stuff going up around her. And the pyrotechnics guys had their timing off. So she literally was at like chest level as the flames were hitting her in the face. And she had to be rushed to the hospital. And it ignited the copper-based makeup that she was wearing. So yeah, a lot of interesting stories about the behind the scenes. There's a reason that so many people know this kind of trivia, because people cared so much about the original. And yes, I understand that The Wizard of Oz has a very special place in the hearts of people of the LGBT community, but they also love that original. I'm not sure how many of them really want it to be remade, because a lot of their love for it is tied into old memories of it and so forth. That's
just it, honey. I don't think anybody in the, I'm not saying alphabet soup, in the gay community wants it changed. I think it's some
ding dong in Hollywood.
Oh, we need to do this so that we're representing gay people. You know what? Unless it applies to you, butt out.
Well, and
Don't
that's
speak for me.
And I'm getting a lot of that from the gay community, because you see with groups like Gays Against Friends of the Playground on Twitter.
I thought you were going to say Gays Against Humanity.
No, a specific group of people, people that tend to your favorite pet and make them look nice. They're saying, look, these things that are happening in the so-called community are not representative of all of us, and you don't speak for us. Dante, hope I don't get this wrong. Infernape, I believe that is. So Dante's play on Dante's Inferno. I don't understand the end goal. At some point, when you push something hard enough in someone's face, they're going to ignore you. People in general don't like being told what to do. Yeah, I just had an interaction with somebody on somebody else's channel on a comment on a video, and I had gotten a factual error in something I had said, and she called me on it, and I said, okay, fair enough. I missed that, but in acknowledging that, you're missing all of the rest of my very important point. And then I got this tirade about mansplaining, and I'm like, oh, okay, I didn't understand that, you are a woman, hear you roar, and as another human being, because I happen to, have some dangly bits, I don't get a say, and yeah, that's, I said, just so you know, and I hope you don't consider this mansplaining, but if you want to convince somebody of a point of view, maybe don't attack them. That's a bad way to get people to maybe find a common ground with you. But yeah, that's kind of what we're seeing in this kind of stuff. But let me see. I'm kind of letting the comments get away from me here. Yeah, it starts in black and white, and that was an artistic choice. A lot of people, see, this is another reason why it's important. We say things are of their time, but you have to, when you say that, you have to mentally think about what that means. What did it mean to an audience going into the theater to see The Wizard of Oz for the first time when it was first put in theaters, right? They came into the theater and they saw it in black and white and thought nothing of it. Yes, they saw beautiful color, posters out in the lobby, but they saw that for every movie they went to see. And then they went and they sat down and they saw it in black and white, and maybe they'd seen another color movie somewhere, but it wasn't common yet. And then when it makes the shift to color, and what brilliant color it was, oh, I get it. Life is black and white. Her dream is in color, It's important. It makes sense. It's part of the narrative.
What's interesting is how many people never even noticed it starts off in black and white and then turns to color. You could have people swear up and down that it was all color.
Yeah.
It's like, go back and watch. It's like,
yeah, if you colorize
yeah.
if you colorize the black and white parts, you're kind of missing the point. But to the previous point, the reason they're doing it is not to make money, not to be successful, and not even to convince you. They know that you and I and Netter and whomever else is not going to see this movie, doesn't care, doesn't want to see it. They want to divide us. They want to be able to create this flashpoint so that a certain community of people can say, you people are ists and phobes because you didn't see this movie. You hate us because of this, that, and the other. They're literally trying to destroy society. It's happened throughout history. It's happening again. And because so many people haven't learned history, we will repeat it.
See, and that's the thing that always gets me. It's like, if I was an istphobe, whatever, it's like, I wouldn't have gay friends. I wouldn't have black friends. I wouldn't have Hispanic friends. I wouldn't have Asian friends, whatever, because I would be so against all them that they would not be a part of my life.
Yeah.
So don't say that I'm an istphobe, whatever. Well, it's like, no, I have friends that are gay. I have friends that are, this ethnicity. It's like, no.
Nighttime prophet. Yeah, it's got to be, yeah, you're right, 2:30 a.m. where you're at.
Wow. Yeah, go to bed.
Yeah. So,
it's a school night.
Yeah. So,
and Dante said you pronounced his name correctly and you got the reference right.
Exactly. Thank you so much. So, Auditor Dread says, I feel that some people refer to others as mansplaining. They already lose credibility in the argument. Yeah, because what they're automatically saying is what you're saying doesn't have merit because of who you are. That's an istophobe to me, and it destroys your credit as in a debate. So you've already lost. But anyway, just bringing you the news. That's what's happening. This is what they say. Here's my prediction. Let's wait until we see what the casting is like. And if the people that are cast aren't gay, lesbian, bi, trans, whatever it is they're depicting, watch people start tearing each other apart. Just watch.